Welcome back to where we bring you the latest and most impactful stories shaping our world. Today, we dive into the turbulent waters of the South China Sea, where a tense standoff is unfolding in Ayungin Shoal. The US Navy and the Philippine Army are standing united against a formidable challenge, a fleet of 50 Chinese ships. In recent weeks, Ayungin Shoal has become the epicenter of a geopolitical storm. China's increased maritime activities in the region have raised concerns, prompting a collaborative response from the US and the Philippines. As tensions escalate, the US Navy and the Philippine Army are forging an unprecedented alliance. Their joint efforts aim to deter the perceived threat posed by the 50 Chinese ships. China has deployed at least 50 maritime militia ships at Panganiban, Mischief, Reef ahead of another mission to resupply Filipino troops on a decrepit World War II-era ship serving as the Philippines' outpost at the nearby Ayungin, Second Thomas, Shoal, according to an American maritime expert. Ray Powell, who leads Project Militia, South China Sea, at the Gordian Knot Center for National Security Innovation at Stanford University, told the Inquirer on Thursday that 35 big ships belonging to Kuang Sancha-yu fleet and 15 smaller ones were spotted at Panganiban. Over the weekend, Powell said that a major rotation of maritime militia vessels was underway across the South China Sea. He said on Thursday that most of them were deployed to Panganiban in the West Philippine Sea, waters within the Philippines' 370-kilometer exclusive economic zone, EEZ. Flashpoint: China took control of the Panganiban Reef in 1995. 40 years later, the Philippine military grounded the landing ship BRP Sierra Madre on Ayungin, where it has deteriorated over the years. Ayungin has been a flashpoint in the recurring tensions between the Philippines and China in the West Philippine Sea as the Chinese Coast Guard, militia, and Navy try to thwart every effort to bring fresh supplies to the troops on the Sierra Madre. On November 10 last year, a China Coast Guard CGG ship also fired a water cannon on a Philippine resupply boat on its way to the ship. In February, a CCG vessel pointed a military-grade laser at a Philippine Coast Guard PCG patrol ship also on its way to Ayungin, temporarily blinding its crew on the bridge. Airdrop last weekend. The last resupply mission to the Sierra Madre was in December last year. A senior military officer, who spoke on condition of anonymity, said the military airdropped supplies to the ship last weekend after the resupply by sea was postponed. Asked whether Beijing could still be trusted with its deployment of its maritime militia vessels close to Ayungin just days after the Philippines and China agreed to de-escalate tensions in the area, Bertan Bakul said that such trust was not necessarily dependent or connected to this move. Trust in China is a function of the entire relationship, not a single action like this one, he said. Government at this point can only observe and remain vigilant about the subsequent activities of those vessels. China claims nearly the entire South China Sea, including the West Philippine Sea, bringing it into maritime disputes not only with the Philippines, but also Vietnam, Brunei, Malaysia, and Taiwan. It rejected the 2016 arbitral award which recognized Philippine sovereignty over the West Philippine Sea and nullified Beijing's expensive claims, saying China had no legal and historical basis. In his monthly press briefing in Beijing on Thursday, Chinese Defense Ministry spokesperson Colonel Wu Quan accused the Philippines of violating China's sovereignty and making provocations in the South China Sea, while in collusion with external powers, with Manila's plans to reinforce construction in the Spratly Islands. Vietnam cooperation. The PCG and the Vietnamese Coast Guard would be signing a proposed memorandum of understanding on maritime cooperation, which the two sides have been working on since 2018 during President Marcos' visit to Hanoi next week, according to PCG spokesperson Rear Admiral Armand Balillo. The MOU aims to enhance the strategic partnership and cooperation between the PCG and VCG toward the promotion, preservation and protection of their mutual interest in the Southeast Asian region, the PCG said. Skepticism. The final draft of the MOU said the agreement would allow Manila and Hanoi to better manage conflicts in the South China Sea in accordance with principles of international law, the national laws of each party, and international conventions to which both Vietnam and Philippines are parties. China tends to view progress in the resolution of border disputes among other South China Sea claimants with skepticism, but its response to this MOU could be muted because the deal is not about recognition of maritime claims, according to a Reuters report quoting Phan Truan Dung, researcher on Vietnam at the Singapore-based ISAS Institute of Southeast Asian Studies think tank. The two most promising areas of cooperation between the Philippines and Vietnam are food security and maritime security, added Alexander Vuving of the Hawaii-based Inouye Asia-Pacific Center for Security Studies, Reuters reported. But Vietnam is far more cautious than the Philippines about not angering China on maritime security, Vuving said. As tensions continue to mount in Ayungin Shoal, we'll be here to keep you informed on every development. Subscribe, like, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this unfolding story and more. Thanks for joining us on. Until next time, stay informed, stay curious.